back on Travel Michigan. I'm George Zimmerman along with Michelle Binoche. And next stop, as we mentioned, is a great event going on in Grand Rapids right now. So, Michelle, take it away.
We are talking with Brian Birch, spokesperson for ArtPrize. And, Ryan, this is one of those events that I personally make sure I go to every year. It is very cool. For people who don't know, what is ArtPrize?
Oh, for ArtPrize, well, this is the world's largest art competition, and it's all happening in Grand Rapids. It's this purely Michigan event, unlike any other place in the world, and it just happens every year, and it's hundreds of thousands of people, it's thousands of artists, it's hundreds of venues, it's just the most incredible thing happening, we think, in the state of Michigan right now.
Well, yeah, and I think that, the thing that certainly has impressed everybody who's been the first couple of years is the fact that you've got so much art concentrated in downtown Grand Rapids in a way that, obviously, the city probably has never seen before.
Yeah, that's the whole point. I mean, Grand Rapids has this excellent, I guess, pedigree of contemporary art, having the world's first, or the country's first sculpture that was funded by the National Endowment for the Arts. So we have this kind of starting point there, and so it fits in with the culture of Grand Rapids and what's happening here, but it's just exploded more so than I think anyone had ever even imagined, that you could concentrate so many creative talents into one spot and just see this new innovation, new creativity emerge, and see how that impacts the rest of the state and this community overall. So you have kids and toddlers and grown-ups and seniors all talking in this weird dynamic about, of all things, contemporary art. It's just the most remarkable thing. It's people coming together. It's state fans and Michigan fans coming together and saying, I like this type of art, and finding new ground and new places to find agreement.
Yeah, so talk about the process. Well, first of all, how many works of art are on display this year?
We have 1,517 installations at 161 venues.
And that's all happening right down in downtown, in a fairly confined area in downtown Grand Rapids, correct?
Yeah, we confine it to 3 square miles. We think that's the best way to get people thinking. If you guarantee that people are going to cross paths, whether they're artists or individuals, just visitors, there's more likely to have that kind of ideas rubbing up against each other, and more creativity happening as a result. It's easier to have a discussion. It's easier to find out who's voting for who. Voting is an incredible component of this that's unlike anything else in the art world, that the public vote really decides the majority of those prizes. And we think that's the best way, to having people so close together to get other people talking about who's voting for what, and get that conversation moving.
And yeah, so talk about that. How, if I come to ArtPrize, how do I vote? How does that work?
Well, it actually can start at home. So people coming from other parts of Michigan can sign up first online at artprize.org, and they can get their account. They can actually sign in with one click via Facebook, which is really convenient this year. That's the first time we've done that. Okay. And then they bring they can come to ArtPrize, and they can either register in person or activate their account in person. That's a critical step to the voting process. We need to prove that you're a living, breathing human being. Mm-hmm. Or you can download the iPhone or Android app, and you can skip the lines altogether, and you can activate that voting account as soon as you cross into that 3 square mile district of ArtPrize.
And then so the votes are tabulated, and the prizes are cash prizes?
Cash prizes. Top prize is $200,000.
$200,000. So that's
a big prize.
That's a big prize.
Yeah, we're actually going to be giving away $560,000 in prizes this year.
Wow.
It's the most ever.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and again, maybe just for folks who've not been yet in the first couple of years, just to give some sense, I mean, there's some of these installations are very large, some are small, some are indoors, some are outdoors. You've got really a mix of mediums and size and scope and location and all that.
Yeah, we kind of follow these 3 simple rules. Anyone can be an artist, any place can host an installation, and everyone has a voice. And given in that, you see this variety of artwork, and the presence is different for each one. So, and then each venue is different and has its own character. So you have the Bob, which is a kind of a restaurant and nightclub facility downtown, and their parking lot is just this amazing carnival of creativity. And then you have the Grand Rapids Art Museum, or Frederick Meyer Gardens, which takes a bit more traditional approach to basically a group art show. And then you have DeVos Place, and that kind of is a hybrid between the two. And you have these wild ideas all blending together. So you can go from venue to venue and get a different experience, and a different range of experience throughout the entire 19-day event.
And for the flip side of those who have been in past years, is there anything new that folks can expect this year that maybe they haven't seen in years past?
Well, in terms of the installations, it's a surprise every year. They actually, one of our other rules is that you can't show the same work twice. So they're guaranteed to see an entirely new show this year. They'll also be able to vote in the first round for 2 weekends. It's a big change for us. We used to just have our voting rounds. If people understand that voting happens in two rounds. The first one was 7 days. Now it's 11 days and includes 2 weekends. So if people want to participate in the full ArtPrize effect, they can come the weekend we're in right now, or next weekend they can still participate, and voting ends on Saturday the 28th at 11:59 p.m.
And then talk about, because the ArtPrize actually continues to go on after that until October 7th, correct?
Yeah, so the second round of voting starts on the 30th, and that goes for about 5 days. And then we have our big award show on October 5th, and that's where we award all of our winners, of which there will be several. And then we have that third weekend, and that's basically people can go around and see the winners. And we'll effectively have several 10, 20, 30,000 people on that weekend in particular, just to see who won and to experience those winners.
So what has the impact been on Grand Rapids of ArtPrize? I mean, obviously, one of the goals was to get the city recognized for its, and as you mentioned earlier, it's art community, it's art history, it's art installations. You've got things like Meyer Gardens and the Grand Rapids Art Museum. So what do you think as we enter year 3 here, or in the middle of year 3, what's it done?
Well, it's done quite a bit. We think we've seen it change the community in terms of how a community appreciates art and how a community communicates together and uses art as that communication process. It has that secondary effect, that secondary impact that Anderson Economic Group out of Lansing actually did a study last year and showed that the 19 Days of ArtPrize had a $15.4 million economic impact on the city of Grand Rapids. So there's two really net effects. There's that perhaps intangible idea that we can become a better community through art, or the kind of the hard numbers is art has a positive economic impact, that the people that it brings in from outside of the state, the work that artists are doing is generating this activity. It's really helping our state reposition itself outside of that kind of traditional, Michigan's this recession home, for the last 12 years.
Right.
We are emerging, and we're becoming more creative and more innovative as ever. So that's what we think as these kind of net impacts on the city of Grand Rapids and on the state as a whole.
Yep. Yeah, I did hear Rick DeVos one time explain, one of the founders of ArtPrize, that one of the things, kind of to one of your points, was that for basically two or 3 weeks, there's nothing else to talk about in Grand Rapids but art, because it's everywhere and people are talking about it, and that's certainly very different than, and I think, having people experience art on the street and in public places, a lot of people who may not, feel like an art museum is really for them, but here's a chance for them to experience it kind of everywhere downtown, not just in a museum setting.
The learnings that we've received from it is that you really have to make art impossible to ignore, and that's, like you said, it's getting it on the streets, it's getting outside of the traditional walls, it's getting art off the pedestal, to use a museum term. It's to lower the barriers as much as possible. Anyone can vote, anyone can be an artist, every place can have art, and then it's just get people talking about it as much as possible.
Absolutely. So that's Brian Birch, the spokesperson for ArtPrize. Thanks for being on the show today. ArtPrize is going on right now through October 7th. Artprize.org is the website. Fabulous event. If you've not been, take advantage of it. You've got a couple weeks yet to do that. And Michelle, there are other events going on statewide.
There absolutely are. It's that time of the year. Metamora is holding its celebration of the Horse Festival September 29th. And of course, with the fall season upon us, communities across Michigan are bringing in fall. Third annual Acme Fall Festival will be held September 29th at the Flint Fields Horse Park. And experience autumn in the islands in Cedarville up in the UP. This event runs the 29th through the 30th. And it's not fall without pumpkins. And South Lyon celebrates Pumpkin Fest September 29th through 30th. The Four Flags Apple Festival, based in Niles, Michigan, kicks off September 29th and runs 4 days through October 2nd. And the Midland Center for the Arts is presenting the Title of Show, an original musical performance, September 27th through 29th. And finally, Suburban Collection Showplace in Novi hosts the 19th Annual American Sewing Expo, September 28th through the 30th. So be sure to visit michigan.org to find out more about all of these events and many, many more.
Absolutely. And coming up next, we're going to the Henry Ford to talk about what's happening there for fall here on Travel Michigan, where your trip begins at michigan.org.